I already smoke.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, we don't. We can't. Our
Welcome.
shops are.
What are we talking about? Welcome back to the Growing Samoan podcast. I'm your host, DJ Hen. Henry Willie is my name, Uncle Hen, and all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm here with two great, awesome people today, and we're going to talk about some great things that can help out everybody in the world today. This will be like a picker-upper episode, and like, well, cheers. First of all, just cheers.
Cheers.
To my co-host and to our guests. Cheers. And this is an amazing podcast that we're doing right now because this is the first Zoom video podcast that we are doing here on the Grown Samoan podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest in the house today here on the Zoom thing, not here, no, physically. He was supposed to be here physically, so we interview him, but the coronavirus quarantine thing got everybody, staying at home. So we're just trying to do the right thing and, and stay home. File move. But we have our man Heinz in the house. I was going to ask you what you want to go by, but you're ready to interview us, in episode 21. And yeah, so if you guys, I want to introduce our guest. We're the host. Our guest today is Heinz. And if you have listened to episode 21, of course, you guys know who Heinz is because he interviewed us. And if you go to his bio, you can know everything about him. But this guy is the host of the FT podcast. He is also one of the hosts on Keto Island Boys podcast. As you can see here, if you're watching the YouTube channel, I got a shirt here that says Keto Island Boys. Keto Island. I had to support the keto movement because I am a part of it. I just started. I'm just a baby. And we're going to get more into that too as we go along in this podcast. To my left on the video, on this left, you're like in the middle. So on the left, I have my lovely co-host, as always, Tala. Say, hey, baby.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. And then
welcome back.
And then to her left on the video is our special guest, Mr. Heinz Chongafao in the house.
All
What's
the
up,
way
brother?
from Vegas. Woo-hoo, Sin City.
Like
being on video.
I know it is, but guess what? You're special. You're so special because you know the.
Oh, by the way, talofa, aloha.
That's right. Gulabi Naka. Mabuhay.
Mabuhay, Yorana, Malolele, Aloha. And to all my Filipino partners out there, how do you say hello in Tagalog?
It's Mabuhay.
Oh, you said Mabuhay. That's what it means. Man, I'm fired because I have Filipino cousins.
¿Cómo está?
¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien. ¿Tú?
Oh, that's all I know. I remember.
Off the day for my Chamorros.
Hey,
we got a new one.
There you go. Thank you for doing that. Jeez.
There's a lot of Chamorros in Spanaway, so
Right.
Our next door neighbor is Chamorro.
Yeah.
Chamorro.
Cool cat. Yeah. Him and his wife. They're from Cali.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Inland Empire, Bernardino.
And speaking of Chamorro, Guam, lots been going on in Guam with the coronavirus and everything. And I heard of it. I was like, yeah, it's spreading. Yeah. It's out there. Yeah. So, we're going to dig down deep into that kind of stuff. And especially now, we had 2 episodes, our last 2 episodes for you listeners. Get my phone out, get my notes out, that, have followed us and just kept up with us. We had Heinz and we had Law. Tala was missing, but it's okay. She's busy. And
sorry, guys, I was working.
Yeah, but they were really emergency podcasts because we do bi-weekly podcasts every 2 weeks. And those 2 podcasts, like me, Heinz, and Law, we're all podcasters. Law from Blue Skywalker, also known as from the Focus on the Road. But now it's going to be Focus Podcast. I don't know if he's changing it now yet, but it's still focused on the Road Podcast, and then we have Heinz. And remember, brother Heinz, like we was like, let's just do an emergency podcast to keep people aware, about what's going on and updated. And now we're doing this one, which is on our regular schedule, And I try to reach out to some people, but we have Heinz here, who's able to attend this, important podcast.
It's after midnight.
To help out our community,
Yeah, it's after midnight on a Saturday.
After midnight on the West Coast.
Right now, I'm in quarantine mode. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, I've been watching. I told you, I've been watching TV all day. So this feels good to do something productive. I was like, you guys want me to just talk, Oh,
quarantine. Yes. Everybody going cuckoo.
Spend some time with us.
And we got drinks.
Right.
Yeah. So, while we're in quarantine mode, adults, responsible adults.
You got there.
So, I want to show if you're watching the video, I got this cup here. It's a Hard Rock Cafe Honolulu. I got that one because you got it for me. We went to Hard Rock for my birthday, my 40th birthday.
We were in Hawaii. And
yeah, episode 3, I think.
Yeah, that was a really great place.
But
one day.
I don't know how many carbs is in this, bro, but I'm still learning,
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, you can have a cheat day every once in a while.
There you go. I've been doing good though. We're doing good.
It's all good, man.
Cheers.
Whatever you can do to stay on it. If that's what you need every now and then, man, it's all good.
Oh man, like we always do on this podcast, once again, please don't forget everybody to leave a review, rate, and subscribe on iTunes or on our YouTube channel.
Correct.
And especially this, leave a voice message on anchor.fm. Or just go down to the show notes and it'll say if you want to leave a voice message, say anything you want. If you're liking the show and you love me, you have a question, leave a voice message, and we'll definitely play that, because we want to hear from our our listeners. If you want a question for Heinz, leave a voice message for him.
That's right. That's right. Because we will get it to him.
Yeah.
Most stuff.
Yeah. If Heinz, when you get a good review, it makes you feel good, right? Because it's like, I know for you and your podcast, your podcasts, because you have, multiple podcasts. Podcasts. With the people out there, don't be scared. Don't be scared to leave a review, rating and comment. That shows love. If you want to show some support, man, just doing that alone, goes a long way.
Yeah, and you can even rate it and not even leave a comment. Like, just rate it.
Yeah. No comment needed sometimes, unless you
just
really
rate it 5-star and then just be on your way.
I'm talking all that shit, and yet I don't think I even rated your podcast shit, bro.
No, I think hey, during this whole thing, I think I'm just gonna go around and just start. We should.
No, go ahead.
Everybody's podcast, because that's what I need to do. I just need to.
Yeah.
Because like the more reviews it has, the more comments it has.
Exactly.
It's going to have in the podcasting hierarchy and stuff.
So like, if I'm gonna show my phone, there's this. I don't know if you can see it, but the blue thing by my thumb. Damn, that's horrible.
Scoot back.
What?
No.
What, this? Right.
Yeah. Scoot back a little bit.
A little bit more. Anyways, ain't working, but it's a microphone, a purple icon. If you have an iPhone, it says podcast. If you click on that, and I'm doing that right now, and I'm clicking on that, and right here, like I have some podcasters on there, the Keto Island Boys, FT podcast. That was Mike Tyson. He's got a podcast. Who else is there? Hey, Samoan Scientist. She's a cool one. I got some other ones. Coca Lesa, Team of Talks. Shout out to them. For the Cultures, they're on there too. So I'm gonna go right now, and I'm gonna go to the FT podcast, and let's see. There you go. It's a rating. Oh, man, my phone sucks, man. But there you go. It says leave a rating, a review, It's as simple as that. And I'm gonna do it right now for you, my man. Boom. I just gave you 5 stars, homie.
That's all you gotta do, guys. Everybody.
As simple as that. Boom, 5 stars. You know, write a review. I'm not gonna write the review, but as I talk, she's gonna leave a review.
I knew he was gonna do
she's
that
got
to me.
speedy thumbs. They just go like. But it's just as simple as that, people. You know, just click your 5 stars and just send it, and that's it. You're good. Or you can leave a review, like Tyler's gonna do for our guy right. You know. Podcast and all my other
really helps us. That's one way to really help us. Like it helps. You could do it with this video too, right? Can you rate videos?
Oh, I'm pretty sure, like, because this video will be up on YouTube. So I mean, YouTube, you guys just leave a comment on there, you know, and subscribe. Yeah. That's the best thing you want to do for YouTube.
Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, hit a subscribe. The subscribe button. It'll be down. If I'm on this, it'll be like right down here, you know, at the bottom left, right corner. It'll say subscribe. That way you guys can, you know, always see the upcoming podcast interviews like we're having today right now with our guy Heinz. And, you know, just get some knowledge, information. We're about to dig deep in this coronavirus, man. We're about to, you know, I got like a few topics that we're just going to touch upon. And we're going to have Heinz, you know, give us his opinions. And because he's a very, very intelligent man. I
thought you brought me on to talk about Kenny Rogers.
Well,
I know.
Well, that's the next podcast.
That.
Wait. What?
He passed away.
Kenny
Rogers.
Oh, dang. I didn't know. Dang. OG Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, Dolly Parton even put out a little video to. Look at me. I'm like,
wait, how did he die? Was it the coronavirus? Or?
No, well, from what I read, it was natural causes.
Oh, yeah. Thank God. You know, I mean, because I'm hearing about a lot of these, you know, just normal people just losing loved ones, you know, just because of that. But Kenny Rogers, oh man, that's the OGs right there. My mom and pop's time right there.
Mm-hmm. Same here too.
Well, big ups, big shout out to Kenny Rogers and all the fans, people who grew up on him. If you don't know who Kenny Rogers is, children, Heinz is going to explain to you what kind of artist he was. He was a singer, you know, a great singer. Country, I think, was his main. Was that his main? Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, he was great.
My parents had listened to Kenny Rogers, and yeah, it's very iconic. It's weird how many Samoans that are our parents' generation's age really like
grew up on Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, it was bumping it. That's what they was listening to when they were in their 20s and 30s. So it's so weird to think, like, man, how old I am too. It's like, damn.
That's right, because you're 80.
Mm-hmm.
80?
1980. Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. If so all you listeners out there, you know, you're welcome back again to Growing Samoan Podcast. If you didn't hear episode 21, that was us being on the FT podcast, which is a great podcast about it's about Heinz, this guy right here, you know, who interviews other podcasters. And I've been listening to your podcast, bro, and it's just beautiful to see other Polynesians promoting or anybody, podcasts, you know, just that you're gonna have on, and I love it, you know. And today
I left that in your review, by the way.
Oh, did you? Oh, right on. But
yeah, I'm basically, and it's fun too. It's fun talking to all these people, man. It's like,
I bet that's awesome.
I mean, that's why we're kind of like connected now too. It's like, dude.
Yeah, so, we appreciate you for doing that, you know, especially, for promoting.
Cheers again for that, you know.
Okay. Cheers. We're about to go to sleep pretty soon.
This is what's going on in 2020, coronavirus, COVID-19, quarantine and chill mode. Everybody out there, I mean, it's going to be like this for, you know, I don't know how long it's going to be, but hey, just, you know, that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast, on this episode about, you know, what's going on and relaxing and how other podcasters on the FT podcast can, you know, chime in and get a cheers to us too, man. This is crazy. I love it though, man. This is fun.
I really love your cup. He's shake up a super big gulp.
Yeah.
Okay, go Heinz.
So they still use styrofoam out here.
Right.
No.
I was just noticing that.
That's styrofoam?
Yeah, this is styrofoam.
What?
Bro, that's a trip.
That's awesome.
It still looks plastic, but
yeah, it does. But it's Vegas, totally styrofoam.
Vegas, how dare you? Still pushing out styrofoam.
Dude, yeah, they don't care. They don't care out here. I'm putting them on blast. I'll put Vegas on blast. Dude, they got styrofoam everywhere. They don't give a fuck about the environment out here.
By the way, if you guys didn't know, Heinz is in Vegas.
In Sin City.
Yeah. He's all out of.
This might be weird for Seattle. This might be weird for Seattle Tacoma people, but like my trash only has trash. There's no recycle. There's just trash.
Yes, and you know we're huge on recycling.
That's also how ghetto my apartment is. It's like,
wait. Let me get that. No. There's no
recycle, honey.
Nope.
They don't segregate. They don't.
Wait, what?
They don't separate that stuff.
They never watched Captain Planet when they growing up as kids. What's going on with them, man?
Our apartment trash, they don't give a fuck. They just like, hey, throw everything in that. That's just it. So
no way.
You know what's crazy? Because when we were living in the house, we had recycled and
that's
trash,
right.
Right?
Yeah.
But now that we don't, we just throw it into the apartment trash. Dude, there's like recycle. Nobody recycles. It's just all trash.
Look at me at Washingtonian.
No, but this is what's funny. When a lot of people came over to my house, a lot of people threw away stuff into the recycle. And it's just like, damn, like I didn't get it, but I think a lot of people out here just don't recycle. So whenever they see a trash can, they just throw stuff in there because it's usually just trash.
Yeah, to them it's
just it. But it's like, you guys have lived in Seattle so long, you guys realize, like, when you go to places, you don't never see trash by itself. There's like 3, 4, 5 different baskets of like where to throw stuff away.
You got compost, you have you have yard waste, you have recycle, and you have
paper recycle, you have glass recycle has its own. Like, there's like, why is there 10 trash cans out here? There be 10 trash cans and you at McDonald's. Like, you got to throw away. This is only for straws. This is only for, It's like, dude.
I get on my kids because I find a water bottle in the trash. Oh, put the water bottle in. Yeah, he will tell you.
They don't care. They don't care out here. They don't care. It's like, you just throw it all. It's the desert. On the rubbish. A lot of desert. We'll bury it somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. What's going on with you, Vegas?
Come on, Vegas.
Come on, Vegas. Step it up. Come on.
Crazy it is, huh?
Planet. I know you're in the desert, and there's nothing but the desert around you. But there are.
I bet you.
When they close down the casinos, it's like, and you close down social out here. It's like, dude, you're just living in the desert. That's all it is. It's like, damn, nothing. Like, you literally took all the fun stuff away.
Yeah, so I bet.
That's a great segue. So about what's going on in Vegas.
Yeah,
since you're in Vegas, they shut down all the casinos. Is that correct?
All the casinos everywhere. Yep.
You're there.
Even in grocery stores, even in like 7-Eleven, because they usually have slot machines in there. No, can't even those.
So you can't even sit in a 7-Eleven and play slots.
No.
Or a safe word.
Turn all the machines off. I was like, dude.
Oh my gosh! Like, because all the reports we can see is, MGM or the main casinos have shut down, but even the little mom and pops places,
all of them.
It's true. Lord. Remember, I was telling Henry earlier in the week because I work I work in an international trade. I move all the cargo from overseas to here.
Oh, crazy.
By air and ocean, and cross borders for Canada and Mexico when we need to. So I was telling him, I said, babe, our biggest customer has a facility in Reno. Reno is in Nevada.
Reno, yeah.
And so the governor, your governor, because you live in Nevada now, has shut down all non-essential businesses.
Yeah, Jason Selak. Yep.
Yes.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was telling him, I said, I have all these containers and all this freight that's sitting in Frisco. So they come through Oakland and San Francisco, and then they get trucked over to Reno. And I told him, I said, I have all this crap that's sitting over there. They don't know what to do because who's going to be there receiving when the facility is shut down? So I get it. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, that's kind of the dilemma that I'm dealing with work right now. So
let's talk about that. Let's talk about like what we know, because I was like number one on like my topics. I only have three topics. Mm-hmm. The first topic is the coronavirus facts. Well, I'm recording right now, so we'll just where we left off at. We had some technical difficulties, but we left off talking about the elderly.
Yes. Oh, that's right. I was talking about
how the coronavirus is affecting the elderly.
And I haven't seen my mom in 2.5 weeks.
We had to separate ourselves from her mom, my mother-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we care for her. I care for her.
I miss my mama.
But you did some research on the CDC website.
Yes.
And
about the quarantine. So
protocols.
So it's really hard to get testing done right now here in Washington State. It's the backlog of all the testing kits and being able to get everyone tested. Right now, the only ones that
need to have symptoms, right, in order to get tested.
Yes. Yeah. Or first responders or frontline. I mean, that's pretty much kind of the people that are the only ones that are able to get tested. I called my healthcare provider right after he told me about the exposure about his coworker.
And what did they tell you?
And they pretty much said, am I sick? Is anybody in my household sick? Is my husband exposed? Or like, does he have any symptoms? I'm like, no, we're good. You know, like we're normal. Nobody's sick. None of my kids are sick. And so they told me they'll have a doctor give me a call or whatever. So the doctor called and left a message for me and just told me that right now they're giving the priority to people that are showing symptoms of the COVID-19, which is having a fever of over 100.4, having or flu-like symptoms, shortness of breath, all that kind of stuff. And so they told me that at this point in time, because even though if you did get tested and you're not positive, there's no treatment for it. So it kind of you still have to do the self-quarantine thing. So they told me 14 days. So it's supposed to be 14 days, which is what they're following the CDC, which is Center for Disease Control guidelines, where you have to basically quarantine yourself in your household for 14 days as long as you don't show any symptoms.
Basically, that's what we're all doing right now, right, people? We're just being told self-quarantine. That's what it's called, because a lot of people, it's like an option. Like the government
it's not an order. It's not mandatory.
Yeah.
But it is for our health and safety as well as for our co-workers or whoever.
If you believe on what the hell's going on, but there's people out there in Florida who are just celebrating spring break and just kicking it because they don't.
Florida, dude.
I watched. Did you see that video?
I mean, it's happening. Well, the one in Florida, and they're interviewed all the spring breakers. But I just seen an article today about how everybody in Seattle's been like at West Seattle, Alki. People have been at Green Lake. People have been to Tacoma waterfront, and like I've seen pictures, and it looks cracking.
Yes,
and like this is the same thing. Like, dude. It's all these kids. I get it. It's all these kids. It's like they have time off. It's
the
like
millennials, the Gen Z or whatever they call them.
I get it. You know, they out there. You know, everybody's like wants to see people.
Yeah.
You know, especially all the single folks. You know, they just want to mingle. Like they're not allowed to go to bars. They can't go to like restaurants. You know what I mean? Yeah. People want to be social and want to like.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is not the time. Like, if you want to do that, do it on here. Do it on, you know.
Yeah. Get a video chat going or snap each other.
They're not old like us where be comfortable doing this. I mean, or like me.
No, but I feel like
Right. I'm still in my 30s.
I feel like these kids though, they're so used to it. It's weird, but it's like, you know, a lot of these kids are just horny too. So it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
it is.
Like
Like,
quarantine ain't gonna stop me.
yeah, exactly. Spring, like, yeah. Because they're all they think about is spring break. I want to have fun my spring break. I want to get faded. I want to meet people. I want to like whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we were young too. We know. We get it.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
And like going back to the topic of like who is affecting, yes, the elderly and the kid, you know, the young adults, little, like it's minor of the, you know, the amount of people that are getting affected in that age group. And the good news though is that the kids aren't getting affected.
Yeah.
Our kids.
I have to be thankful for that.
What was that percentage that you,
I think it was like less
out?
than 1% of children are being infected unless they have like pre-existing conditions or something like that.
Yeah, it's like asthma or immuno.
Yeah, but the majority of like healthy normal children, it's less than 1% that are actually infected. I mean, most of them are getting mild symptoms like if they had a flu. So,
which is great news.
Yeah, that's awesome news for us. It's just really hard, especially because us as adults, we are carriers. We're also silent. There are some silent carriers which don't show symptoms but do have the virus. Which is why I just, like I told Henry, I said I'd rather be safe than sorry and not be around my mom.
Yeah.
100%.
Did you have? So Heinz, you sent me the podcast. I think it was the Daily News, and I think another one was the NPR Up.
Up First, yep.
Yeah. And I've been listening to those because it's like a daily, you know, news podcast that keeps you updated. And they had interviews of the guy. They had an interview of a doctor in Italy talking about how, you know, their whole staff cries every day because all the people that are dying in their hospital and there's nothing they can do. And
you got to pick who survives.
You have to be the person to decide who lives or dies. It's really, and that's kind of, I remember earlier, I think I saw a tweet earlier of how Seattle will have to come down to that stage eventually of medical facilities having to decide who lives and who doesn't.
Well, they got to prioritize, you know, who they're going to give the bed, the ventilators up to. Yeah. And, you know, sad to say, but well, the medical, it's going to have to be the medical staff that makes those decisions.
The shortage of supplies doesn't really help us either, you know. I see a lot of requests going out for like donations for PPE, which is the protective gear that these nurses, the frontline people, need to get to get the care done.
And you know, like to all of our listeners out there, this is what really hit home for me is that when the doctor said that the people that are dying, these grandparents, these parents, they die alone. There's nobody that can be there. They die alone. They get sick. They get quarantined into the hospital, and nobody can come. The family members, you cannot go to see your loved ones, your grandparents, your mom, your dad, your grandpa pass away. They die alone, and then not only that, when they die, you can't even go to the hospital because they're still quarantined off even after death. So, that's why I just trip out because it's happening and our people need to know that, look, people, if you guys got parents, grandparents sitting right by you or in your house, it can happen to any of us, you know? You got to think.
I live with my mom. She's almost 70 and
I've stressed this to myself.
So I'm like, I don't go anywhere. But I'm good at just not going anywhere, you know?
No, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and the good thing I realized is that even with us being behind on, quarantine and all that stuff, I honestly think that, like, we're doing an okay job of like Americans alone doing self-quarantine. Like you, Heinz, and like us taking care of her, my mother-in-law, and you know, doing what you got to do for your moms. Because we learned by, listening to, the other countries and what they're going to, before, the government even, started implementing all this. But
I mean,
man,
I'll be honest, even my mom is scared to go out. She's watching the news on a daily basis, and she's like, she sees that people her age are dying left and right here in Washington and everywhere else, but she worries. She just doesn't take the risk of going out. So I've also stressed it to my sister to please don't let any visitors, especially because she's just, at her age and especially with all these, how the government and how the news, it's just stressing out to us.
It is.
Like, be careful of our elders. Please don't go visit. None of that, necessary. You don't need to do any of these trips and visit your loved ones. Call them, and make sure that they're okay. So I have to tell her, I'm like, please don't let nobody come and visit. I know they do want to check on mom, but you know what? Have them pick up the phone. And this goes to my other siblings, that are here locally as well. I know you guys want to bring her food, typical Polly style, bring her mid-eye for whatever. I said, but I would prefer that they just give her a call and just check up on her. And, she's, as long as she says she's okay, I mean, I'm distancing herself, and that's myself from her. And that's very rare because I love to go see my mom,
No, I get it. Like I mentioned it in my podcast this week that, man, I was lucky that when my dad was sick, I was there every day, next to him every day. So I couldn't imagine like having this happen during that time period.
Right.
I can't imagine what people are going through. Yeah, it would be really devastating. So it's like,
man. I like you, we sit in the same boat, I lost my dad in October, and that was hard. Sitting next to him, watching him, deteriorate, whatever it may be. The last thing I need, especially within months, is to see my mom and not even be able to be there. You know what I mean? Not even knowing that how strict their regulations are right now.
My mom is definitely a little bit more brave because she's like, she still wants to like go to the we went to the grocery store today. It's like, man, like, you don't want to just stay at home. Like,
I worry. You're the one that worries more for your mom than she does. That's
just like, well, let's just go to the store real quick. I was like, dude, I don't know. There's like, we can
20
wait.
million people out there, right?
Yeah, we can wait. Like, it's growing really fast right now, I feel like. So
it is.
I think it's what I've been saying is it's growing just because the people are getting tested, but it's fucking been here longer than
that's the scary part.
Like the numbers are already high. We just don't know it because none of us has gotten tested yet.
I mean we had within the past 24 hours like 700 and something tested positive, and that's just because of testing.
Oh yeah, so I just looked at the tweet. So as of now, what is it like right now? It's 1 a.m. in the morning, and
on in Pacific Standard Time.
State, at Sunday morning, and I just looked at the tweet, and it said we're number 3 at the top of the list of infected.
Yeah, we're number 3 right now in the world.
So that's just because we didn't get tested yet, anybody. So
and that's kind of another thing too, Heinz, is one of the main reasons I won't go around my mom is because I want to be sure. I want the test, and I want to be sure that if it shows, I want it negative. If it does show negative, I want to be able to go see her with, not having to worry in the back of my mind, like, oh my God, I could be carrying this disease and I'm about to go. You hug your mom.
Which brings you back to how we can help out the listeners right now, because you told me you did the research about the CDC. And how they were explaining that website you Googled, and it was talking about if you haven't had a test, how
Yes.
can you, what would be the signs that, let you know that you're safe to move on?
So they do provide, they do say that, this is the CDC. So I watch all the press conferences about the daily coronavirus update every day with President Trump and his coronavirus team, which is led by Vice President Mike Pence, right? Just because that's just me. So I'm working and I'm watching this. And these press conferences, they're supposed to help out us Americans and the people who live here in America, in the U.S. But to be honest, I don't listen to them as much as I follow the Center for Disease Control, or WHO, which is the World Health Organization, because they are the people that have dealt with global issues when it comes to medical. They're the ones who are more...
so is that where you got the information from?
Yeah, I got it from CDC.
So what did they say?
So they said for those that have been tested, usually they...
No, for those that haven't been tested.
So for those that haven't been tested, they ask that you quarantine yourself for the first 3 days is to ensure that no symptoms are received. The next thing to do is to sit through a 7-day period to ensure that no additional symptoms are received. And if there is nothing, they've actually kind of said, so this is different from the 14-day quarantine that we're being
just continue what they said though. So after
7 days, if nobody in your household or yourself has any symptoms that they've given in the guidelines, then you are free to leave your quarantine.
Yeah, but see, that's better information than what the fucking,
what I'm getting at the press conferences that I watch every day, because I do watch them because I want to know what mandatory lockdown, what, I want to know, what are you going to do for us?
Or not only that, it's just something, because we don't even have fucking tests. So, getting something to go by. Yeah. I mean, fuck, once you told me that, I was like, all right, shit, at least that's something.
Yeah.
So and there you go, people.
That helps. That helped because I was able to finally let my 2 nephews who stay with me for school, I was finally able to let them go home, Friday. So I said, okay.
From the World Health Organization.
And from the CDC.
Yeah. What you think about that, Heinz? What's your opinions on that?
On the CDC?
Yeah. And how they're giving out information, because we don't even have like tests out here,
No, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough. Like, I just feel like it's hard too, because each state has their own governor that's trying to do their own thing too.
Yes.
On top of what Trump and Fauci and all those, doctors.
Yeah, Dr. Fixer and it's
all those people trying to help out. So it's like, when it comes to Trump, it's like, dude, if you ain't sending money or you ain't providing tests, I don't really want to hear anything, And then for all the states, they're all like, like, how are you going to help us too? So no, it's tough. It's tough to follow. It's it can get depressing after a while. Yeah. Just reading on all the deaths and the news and just seeing people's situations. A lot of people are in really tough situations now, like either getting laid off,
no jobs,
lowered hours, like it's tough.
We have to be thankful. Well,
let's move it on to our second topic of the podcast. We only have 3, so this is a great segue to number 2, which is tips on how to get through this financially, because this is a financial finance podcast for our Polynesian Pacific Islander and everybody who can relate. So we're the 3 of us can just throw in our opinions, and I have some few written down here if you guys want to just feed off of that. Just tips on how can help get through this financial disaster. First of all, I'm going to say this. This is my first pandemic that I've ever been through.
Same here. The last one is 100 years ago.
You know,
so yeah, my first.
So when I was thinking about the tips, it was hard because, well, shit, I ain't never been in no fucking pandemic. And this is, we've been through a recession. And, you know, this is why I can like use that into helping out. But Jesus Christ, this pandemic thing is, oh my gosh, it's a whole nother level. It's like, wow, you know, you throw that on top of the, you know, the financial crisis that's going on, and it's going to get bigger and bigger. It's like, what can we do? So people out there listening, I'm trying my best, especially our poly people who are listening, and, you know, all the listeners. But we're just going to go out there and just tell you guys like little things that I be getting, you know, from these other podcast communities who, you know, strictly deal about, you know, or talk about personal finance and, you know, things that they're doing to benefit them. So, you know, it's going to be a crazy one right now, this topic. But number one, and you guys just chime in, you know, I got is just, you know, what other people are saying. You got to seek financial help, whether that means if you lost a job, you got to, you know, go to unemployment. First thing, you know, go to unemployment. You know, what you guys, you know, think about that. I mean, that's the first thing. Unemployment, you know, didn't it just shoot up just because that's mandatory?
600%. Restaurant and hotels.
Right,
yeah.
So
what do you think, Heinz?
Yep, absolutely. You got to find a way. Like, if you just got laid off or they cut your hours, file for unemployment. Like, find ways. You know, like, hey, sometimes you might let somebody borrow some money. This might be the time where it's like, hey, you know, you might have to. Get
are
some
you
of the.
Are you guys going through that right now, bro? Down in Nevada, did your governor? Did he put like I don't know if it's a him or her, but did they by chance put on like an executive order, kind of what they've done here in Washington, where they've held evictions for the next month or so? Like,
I don't remember seeing that yet. So, but but that's good. You guys have that, so that at least that helps.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, that's huge. Is it just for 1 month or is it for?
I'm not really sure, honestly. I know that all I know is that the executive order has been signed for a halt on any eviction. So basically, any landlord cannot issue a like a 3-day eviction notice or a 14-day eviction notice. They've kind of put a halt for a month, as far as I know. Anything more than that, I think it's kind of, they're playing it by ear to see how long this might extend. But I just know that here in Washington, that's kind of been the executive orders, just to hold it for a month until they deem otherwise.
I think that leads perfectly into my number 2 is that, like, if you have a very expensive housing expense, as far as like rent, especially, like, and you have the option of like moving in with your sister or brother or mother or father or something,
kind of like a house hack.
This might be a good time to really reevaluate. Like, I know there's costs that come with breaking your lease if you're in an apartment, but like if you're like renting a house and you have like a year lease and you still have 6 months left. If you have a situation where you could not have to pay rent, this might be a good time to look for that situation, because a lot of times for people, that's the biggest bill, is rent or housing or mortgage or whatever.
That is the biggest bill.
Your living expense. Yep.
Yes. So that, like, if you can, if you're lucky enough to know somebody that, is willing to take you in. I hear you guys have a couple rooms. You guys are willing to take a couple people in.
Yeah.
And, so it's like, if you can, if you have a situation like that, man, this might be a good time to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
And you know what's the best thing about it is, our poly people, we're used to that. I mean, that's natural, you know. So if you just moved out like last year,
Yeah, no, that's
trip. Your family will take you right back. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, you go sleep on the floor over there. You guys can take the garage, and you know, we're used to it, right?" So
ain't no shame. Like, hey, I moved out 20 years ago and then moved back in with my parents. You know, so it's like
ain't no shame. That's one thing we preach on this podcast is about think about it financially. Okay, you got to take the pride and you just got to throw it away for a little bit and just use your brain to be like, look, I got to save money for my family, my future, myself. So I'm going to take that pride and just not worry about it. And I'm going to do the right thing financially. So what you're saying in your number 2 is perfect because I had that on the list too, bro. And, you know, that's why I'm glad you're on here with us to just, you know, just add in more, you know, this is perfect. Number 2, people, is housing costs.
Yeah.
You know, if you could shorten them somehow, like bring in another roommate, whatever you got to do. There's lots of different things you could do, you know. So, but that's a lot of times is number 1, you know, on biggest bill.
It is number 1 a expense bill, big time. It's always your housing costs, you know, and we preach that on this podcast too.
Yeah,
that's always the number 1 bill.
And house hacking literally means moving in to save expenses, especially that expense.
Yeah, live with your
other people.
Get roommates. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
House hack. That's what we call it. House hack on the Grown Samoan, you know. That's like a number. It's on our 16 beginner tips.
Yeah.
I forgot what number it is on there, but house hacking is pretty much like that. And we're so used to it as Polynesians. Yeah. You know, we always, you know, when times are tough, times are hard.
Yeah, we move in.
You move in with the family member, right? You know.
That's how it rolls.
That was a great one, man. I love that one.
Yeah.
Cheers to that. Cheers, bro. Let me cheers to that. Cheers over to Tyler. You know,
cheers, bro.
Cheers. And cheers to everybody watching the YouTube video right now. You know, quarantining and chilling right now. You know. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Manguya. Hey, cheers in Samoan again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the veteran Samoan speaker.
You are. You are.
Yeah, my husband calls me a fob. It's okay.
Well, you were when you were little, but then
I didn't learn how to speak English until I was 5. So, yeah.
She speak at a
That's like Gary V.
Huh?
Oh, is it for real?
It's like Gary V. Yeah.
Oh, Dad, I never knew that.
What?
He didn't know how to speak English. He only spoke like whatever. I think Russian or something like that.
Oh, maybe Ukrainian.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Or no, Belarus or something like that. Belarus. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, he didn't know English when he first came, so he got picked on a lot, and he talks about that. So
yeah, that's awesome though, because like I told you, I was lucky. I came, all I knew was yes and no.
Yep.
Yes, and then remember I told you I had a teacher that I got really lucky.
Yeah,
he spent 2 years
that is lucky.
I never knew that,
like,
man.
And she was blonde, short hair, like straight Palangi. I'm so thankful. Miss Parker. I'll remember her name, Miss Parker.
You talked about Miss Parker.
Mrs. Parker.
I didn't even know that story until you said it on
she was my
interview with Heinz. I was like, oh, what?
She was my kindergarten teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I had here.
What was your other tip?
Another tip was, which we probably already doing, but you know, a lot of us is you got to get your food stamps, people. Get the EBT, you know, whatever it costs right now. You know, if you never had it, if you don't know anything about it, and you're watching this podcast, it's a perfect time, especially if you're losing your job. You know, the government will help you out big time on food expenses.
Yeah, you know? Especially with the kids home. A lot of schools are closed right now.
Yeah.
So feeding your household is definitely
a good topic too, right there.
A big tip. Plus. Ours are pretty much home until they have the date for April 24th. I've got a whole another month and almost a month and a half.
But what you just said, I didn't even think about that too, was all these food banks.
Yeah, there's
and
food
all
banks.
These people that are feeding the kids, like even the schools.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of the schools are offering free lunches where you can it's kind of like a drive-through and pick up kind of deal right now. So that's another advantage that, especially if you're here in Washington State, definitely look into your local school districts. Find out which schools are holding these free lunches. Because it is definitely something that is being offered here in Washington State. So look into that. I know I have a lot of kids home, but luckily they have older brothers that are still working, so they can take some of the food expense right now.
What do you think about on that, the food costs? What's your tips? Do you have anything, or you want to chime in on it?
Obviously, if you could eat at home, a lot of people are already eating at home through this crisis anyway, but it's like, it's tough because people want to support a lot of the local restaurants and restaurants in general, because those guys are taking a hit. It's really tough though. But a lot of times it's, almost 95% of our meals are made at home. And so that's just how it is. It's cost effective though. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like it's weird because I don't feel like we've ever been stocked up this much, and it's funny how when you listen to everything and you just look at the shelves on the store, or when you're at the store, you look at the shelves and they're empty. It really makes you question a lot of things where are you doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I prepared enough? So it's like, okay, so then, I think we have too much stuff than what we need, but we just got it anyway because it felt like everybody was getting it.
Everybody else is panic buying, right? So you have to panic buy with them.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, though.
Yeah, it's like that's your defense too, almost. And it's, and then that's when too many people start doing that, man, people go to the store to get something that they need and it's not there. And it's just like, damn. So it's tough.
We were like you. We went, but what we did was we had in mind that we were just going to stock up for a couple of weeks. We were going to do a 2-week stock up just to tide over the 14-day quarantine.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But when we went, oh my God, it was.
You mean last week?
There was like nothing.
Last week?
We stood in checkout for like almost 2 hours.
Damn.
We were at Winko's.
Oh yeah.
We went to Winko's and we got in there and I just looked around. It was insane. Yeah. We stood in that line and we were just buying.
Winko's.
We always go every week.
Winko's
we just
a big time supermarket out here.
Yeah, we just did like we always go every week and we do the week for, we do shopping for the week. And so we just decided to double it in case because of the 14-day quarantine.
People are going cuckoo because
there was no toilet paper.
Actually, not today. Today's Sunday. Yesterday, we went back to Winko's, the supermarket, and it was fully stocked.
Yeah.
Minus toilet paper.
The only thing missing was toilet paper because people are still retarded on this toilet paper thing. Yeah. I don't know why, but
I don't know what the obsession is with toilet paper.
It was fully stocked. There was so much stuff there, So all this, what do you call it? Crazy shopping, over shopping.
Yeah. Well, the only difference today was because of social distancing. So they're only allowing 50 people inside.
Yeah, they got smart about it.
Yeah. So you're only so 50 shoppers at a time are allowed in the store.
Yeah.
And we waited in the line to get into the store with our cart. So when one person comes out, another, one person go
I think last week, the big wave passed. I think it's slowly like all the companies, the stores are getting used to, all right, we're going to just put limits on.
Yeah.
We're going to, do like social distancing and 50 people at a time, whatever.
So we looked at
now it's good
the doors. So they are temporarily out of stock of hand sanitizer and toilet tissue.
All that shit.
They had it all. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the exception is with toilet paper, but I'm just scratching my head about that because that's all. Even Amazon, you go online on Amazon to order it, they're out of stock.
Well, that's a great segue into my next tip. I don't know how long this pandemic disaster is going to last. It might be long. It might be, not that long, but there's a lot of people who lost jobs, A lot of people. We're talking to Law. Remember Heinz, and Law said that his weekend jobs, they had to shut down because they're all about entertainment.
Yeah.
At Jazz Bones, he works at Jazz Bones, and there's so many people that just lost jobs.
Yeah, definitely a lot of the restaurants that don't offer takeout or deliver or drive-through definitely are down. Hotels. Nobody's going to a hotel right now.
Airlines. Oh, geez.
Airlines. I mean, but just in general, all across the board, across the country.
Which brings you on to the next thing of because you said Amazon. Yeah. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's talk about, so you guys just chime in on this about, this is my tip, finding work.
Yeah.
Instead of just, if you just, I know it's hard, people, but if you just lost your job because of this, this temporary shutdown,
there are companies that are
jobs
hiring
out there that are hiring right now to help out get through this, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah, you guys
got stalkers at grocery stores.
Yes.
Yeah, Amazon delivery.
Amazon is definitely trying to. Safeway, Kroger, which is like Fred Meyer and all that stuff. They're having a higher craze right now just to stock supply.
Domino's up in sales, hiring people. 7-Eleven. They said they're going to hire 20,000 more people at 7-Eleven.
Yep. Just to restock shelves.
Yeah. Safeway,
Amazon.
Oh man, our son, our oldest, and we talked about this a lot. Our oldest son works at Amazon.
Yeah, he actually has to work tomorrow or today.
And he straight set up,
Yeah, he doesn't work weekends.
Dad, they gave us a $2 raise until the end of April, and I was like, what?
Yeah, and that's his department, but the other side, which is the Amazon Fresh, which is food, the food part, they're giving $4 raises to people who want to.
And they're hiring more people on top of that, even though I'm still scratching my head wondering where the fuck you at, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the fucking world, and you can't pull no connections to get some goddamn tests over here in Washington State. God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's probably in his bunker right now just watching Netflix and shit. Just quarantining and chilling and shit.
Yeah, but there are jobs. There are other places out there that are hiring for people who are looking for jobs.
So,
besides the medical field and the trade industry, which is us, because we have to transport the crap that everything
essential needs, right?
Yeah,
is that what it's called? Essential businesses.
Unfortunately, both us, we work in an industry where we transport the goods.
That was a good there was a meme or someone posted, I think my niece posted, and it said something about so the medical, the grocery, and the transportation field, the people that work in those fields are the superheroes nowadays, and not the actors, athletes, and and I was just entertainers, and I was like, oh yeah, like goddamn, we're the superheroes now because we're actually the ones that are actually in need, But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So keep your head up if you're like me and you're just a regular average, warehouse forklift driver. We're making the world go around. But if you don't and you lost a job, there's jobs hiring big time right now. And if you need that income, just go, that's my suggestion. That's my tip. It's my first pandemic. I don't know. I'm doing anything. I'm trying to whatever, things that I can come up with in my small brain, my big head. Go ahead.
I got one. I feel like, especially if you live in a state where they're not letting you, or they're allowing you not to have to worry about your rent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, for me, this is for me personally. I don't think credit card debt would be the highest on your priorities of what to pay that month. You know what I mean? Especially I feel like it's better to have cash than to use that on a monthly payment, because especially if you live in a state where they're forgiving you, they're allowing you not to pay rent. It's like, dude, If you don't have to pay rent, then it's like, okay, your credit card company should be able to give you the same sort of thing. This might be something you might have to call them up and say, hey, this coronavirus, I'm not working. Don't, like push back my payments or whatever. I'm not going to pay this for, 90 days or whatnot until I figure out my work situation and stuff like that. So, I would definitely think twice before before like paying off
that bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. It is definitely true, because I've been getting a lot of emails from credit card companies that I have, for credit cards that I have, for forbearance is what they're asking.
Forbearance.
Oh,
they're asking.
Me, I'm like just because they know the situation, and they know that if you are struggling, if you have lost a job, if you have been impacted by the COVID-19, they do offer forbearance. They do offer a lot of time.
Explain to the listeners what forbearance is.
So forbearance is basically like a forgiveness of being late for payments, or so basically they don't charge you a late fee for being late. They don't they give you kind of extra time to be able to pay your debt or your bill or whatever it may be. And that's with no penalties, no fines, and none of that stuff that applies. So forbearance is actually a great thing for credit card holders, for loans. Definitely anything of that nature. Forbearance is definitely and talk to them. Don't ever ignore your creditors. That's just definitely one thing to do, is don't ever ignore any creditors that you have that
times are crazy right now, people. We preach about getting out of debt, and this is the best time to push.
And they understand. Believe me, they are all going through the same situation that we are going through as individuals. So, for them to send out their messages are basically that to our customers, we are aware of the situation. You have options. We do offer options in regards to credit card payments or car payments, loans, mortgage, like everything. Anything that you have a bill on, you literally are able to extend those bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point. Good job, you guys.
So it just popped in my head. I was like, forbearance.
You guys are amazing.
I remember that.
Because I wasn't even thinking about the credit game, and I was like, oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
If it comes to deciding whether to buy groceries with this like $100 or pay off
my $25 minimum payment.
Yeah, exactly.
That can wait.
$25 minimum payment is gonna do a lot better in the grocery store.
That's my gas in case I need to go to the grocery store. Yeah.
$25, $5 in the gas and $10 at the grocery store.
Right?
Like, it's crazy how you're, but
totally right though. Thank you.
Every penny, like saving every penny is important right now,
Well, it definitely, especially if you don't work. If you've lost your job and stuff like that, that is definitely your priority, is groceries for my household and to feed my family versus having to pay a credit card bill.
No. Now here's another tip that I just thought about because we're talking about this. I've been listening to a personal finance podcast, and what they were saying was, how the Fed dropped down the interest rate, right? So what they were saying was a good way to use that is to go and redo your student loans. So this is for student loans. Anybody out there with student loans? Refinance, where you can drop that interest rate down as low as, I think they were saying, like
0 to 0.25%, as well as reducing your monthly payments.
And so
I guess I watched the news a lot.
So if you guys out there who have student loans, if you can go and just call them up and say, hey, I want you to drop my rate. Not only they can probably do that, but they can probably do forbearance.
Yes, please.
On top, because this is a crazy time. I mean, why not?
Just be careful when you do refinance. Make sure you're looking at your terms. How many years that you're refinancing for? if they offer forbearance, it would be awesome. The only reason that I remember forbearance is Henry and I lost our home to foreclosure back in 2009.
2009. Mm-hmm.
And we had, I think, like $150,000 in our first mortgage, right? That because we had a first mortgage and a second mortgage. The second mortgage basically allowed us to get a home without having to put any money down. We didn't know anything about that. We were young. We were, just wanted a house. But I remembered forbearance because when Obama became president, he had the debt forgiveness for that's when the last recession happened. Yeah. And so we were able to get forbearance, which was also the debt forgiveness on that $150-something thousand. We never had to pay money for that, Right. So if you right now at this point in time, because we are in a pandemic that could also lead to a recession, if you are able to get a forbearance as well as a debt forgiveness where you don't have to pay back on the student loans,
then that's the hookup. That's the hookup. I mean, that's some crazy shit right there, because I fucking pay my student loans off and a fucking, regular, it was up there interest rate. But if this fucking pandemic happened now and I had student loans still, first thing I'll be doing is calling them up, talking about, hey, drop my interest rate and fucking, give me a fucking few months to start the payment plan.
Because
that's a hookup right there, So
we don't know where we're going to be in the next few months. So if you can at least lower the interest rate, like you said, and get a lower monthly payment, who knows?
Especially in these weird times that we're in,
Yeah, in a few months, if we do go in a recession, you might be able to get that debt forgiveness and not have to pay it at all.
And you can save some money, people. That'll help you out too. That's a good tip.
So, just FYI.
High fives.
Got you.
Well.
Yeah. So what about you, Heinz? What's your take on that?
We're just going with the flow here.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely, you definitely want to do that. Like, it's all about adding up everything that you need to pay every month versus like what's coming in. It's tough, and our people are very good. We've been able to, play with numbers and stuff, and move family members around, have families move in together, so all those things, like, I think when you combine them all, it's like every little thing helps, so
big time, man. Every little thing. Moving on to another thing that can help, and this has something to do with also your housing, is I follow a lot of real estate podcasts. Well, mainly Bigger Pockets, the number one, website, pretty much in the world for real estate investors. And this is from investors, how they look at, because these are all landlords. So this is my tip for all you renters out there. If you don't own your own home and you're renting out either whether it's an apartment or a home, this is what the landlords are saying, because they're losing money right now because all their tenants cannot pay rent. And they know it's going to be a long haul.
So that cash flow is not coming through like they usually do every month.
Here's the tip that can save you guys some money too, and can save you guys a lot of frustration. Call your landlords. If you're renting out a house, call your landlords and talk to them, because the landlords have a game plan already set up. Their game plan is they're going to allow 2 months. They call it something, but they have a month where they can push something back, whatever you can afford. If it's $300 or whatever. Let's just say you have $1,000 rent and you're telling your landlord, look, let's make it something. I can pay $300. They'll be like, okay, and they'll waive the rest. And then the next month, they'll do the same. But what they'll do is they'll kind of like, I wouldn't say waive the rest. They'll throw it into like a payment plan. So you're pretty much just going to talk to your landlords saying, hey, we can't afford this. And they understand, because everybody's in shit right now. So they're just like, all right, we'll do whatever we can. Just pay what you can now. And whatever you need to pay, we'll make payment plans that'll last for like 10 months. We'll stretch it out, and we'll take care of you guys.
So that's kind of what they've been doing with a lot of things, is they're allowing you to do like payment plans along with balloon payments, which is you can stretch that stuff out over time, but they won't penalize you.
Yeah.
You know, like say if you have a car loan,
rate, yeah,
like a car loan, you know, if you pay it in full within like 3 months, they're not gonna say, hey, you got to pay like $500.
And do that. If the landlord says, okay, yeah, do that. But just like we said in the other number 2 is like, after those breaks they give you, if you can't afford it, it's time to move in with the family. That's how I look at it. And then it's time to just get up and go. Because these are, like I said, crazy times we're living in nowadays, people.
It is.
But moving on to the last topic of the night. Number 3, Heinz. Here it is. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Number 3 is we move forward, people. That's number 3. We move forward. Tough times right now. I'm no expert in pandemics and market crashes and how to save your life, but hopefully these tips can help you out, and especially this last one of moving forward. Everybody's different. You got to find your own way of getting through this, these crazy times. Listening to our podcast, I put a tweet out there when I was just telling people, like, it's important about financial education, especially for our polys. So I don't know, man. It's just crazy because this can help a lot of people, but a lot of people ain't hip to it yet. But, other than that, what's going on right now, you got to just keep pushing. Got to move forward. I have one quote here before we end. And you heard of this, Heinz, don't cry over spilt milk, right? So that's that. They're going to be the ending quote of the night is, don't cry over spilt milk. Everybody heard that. But what I'm going to say is, don't cry over spilled milk. And these times, you got to wipe that shit up and pour yourself a glass of water, because water is cheaper, it's more affordable, and that's how you got to do it, people. You got to keep moving forward, man. Final thoughts before we end the podcast, from you two. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like you said, I feel like, what was part 3, moving forward, right? I think this is a good time where it's like, okay, this is, you need to evaluate a plan for yourself, for your future, for your family. If you have a lot of time right now and you're not in a good situation, this is a good time to sit down and really use your brain and come up with ideas of how to come out of the situation that you may be in. You know what I mean? So it's really about okay, and you got to think out scenarios. You got to think it out. You got to play all these things out month by month. It's like, okay, can I make rent for April or my mortgage for April? Okay, if I can't, what's going to happen? And who can I go to? Think ahead of time. It's really about you might have to plan out how you're going to get by, week by week. So come up, it helps when you come up with a plan. So then, a lot of things that are happening is very emotional too. So and sometimes when you're too emotional, you might make some weird decisions, and then decisions that are just very,
That's one of my number 1 sayings is, when emotions are high, intelligence is low.
Yeah.
I've read that somewhere, and I love that. It's true. It's
That's
true.
what I'm saying. So if you come with a plan, for sure, that helps, because it takes a lot of, it's like, okay, you already had this planned out. You knew that if you couldn't pay rent or come up with rent money, that you could go to B. Your plan B now. That's what people always talk about. Hey, you got to have a plan C, plan D for every,
And if you don't have any plans, people, that's what Heinz is telling you guys right now. Get the paper that you see and the thingy, and start writing down your plans,
or save them on your phone, or but come up with a plan though. That will help out a lot, I feel like, with your whatever situation you're in.
A backup plan, and then a backup plan for the backup plan.
Oh, it's That's why we're in the trouble that we're in. We had no backup plan. The people at the top had no backup plan for if A happens, then B. They had no B. There was no plan B anywhere. So that's the problem. So
yeah, they're just kind of rolling with it and kind of feeding us whatever they can feed us.
Which is why we're all rolling with it. And we take leadership the way it is. It's like, in China, not to like promote communism or anything, but I think communism helped them.
Yeah, they did.
Coronavirus, because
I told Henry that the other day.
They take away all their laws and they say, hey, your ass got to stay inside or we'll come arrest you. Dude, nobody goes outside for real. Like,
and that's what I told Henry. I said, that's going to be the struggle here in America, is we are not a communist country.
That's what I say. We're all kicking it.
Yeah. Everybody's still out there. I don't know. Everybody was at
Rattlesnake. Angle Lake was cracking today. Green Lake was cracking.
I showed him a picture.
Alki was cracking.
Of the hiking trail, which is Rattlesnake. I showed him a picture of everybody chilling at the top where this is the end. You're at the top. I said, where's the 6 feet social distancing thing? No? Oh, yep. So much for that. And they won't put a state in order. Our governor here in Washington will not put a shelter in order.
That goes back to,
and we're the first state that got hit.
That goes back to like the whole idea of this podcast is the fact that you can't depend on anybody else. People, you have to educate yourself. Do not depend on the government. Do not depend on anybody. Sometimes even your family members. You have to do the education yourself about finances, because if you set yourself up like Heinz was talking about, preparing yourself for A, B, and C, you would not worry about any pandemic. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, listeners, me and Tala, we're good. Yeah, we've set up an A, B, and C because this financial education shit, put us on game. Like, it's true. Like right now we have up to 3 months guaranteed that we can cover everything. And not only that, if we wanted to, it can go up to 12 months, a whole year.
Yeah, we have an emergency
fund. And then that's what we call it.
Or die emergency funds.
and we're just normal fucking Samoan couple, a Polynesian couple that I graduated high school. I failed in ITT Tech. I've been locked up. I've been in and out. I've been all kinds of shit. A struggle in life. Me and my wife. Bankruptcy. No, not bankruptcy. We lost a house. We were
foreclosure,
$250,000. In debt. All kinds of crazy stuff. But just learning about your finances, your money, just that alone just can help you out.
The craziest thing right now is what we are looking forward to right now in this pandemic or in the global recession that might come sooner than later, is we're sitting here looking at the stock market, watching this drop and looking forward to it, because the markets are going to be so low that we can buy any stock. We're looking at what we can be able to spend our money on right now. Buy the stocks while they're low and purchasing a home when the markets are down.
Yeah, so
that's kind of crazy. But
like basically, what my point is Polynesian people, Pacific Islanders, the majority of us, that don't really know about this stuff because it's not preached out there. Yeah. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to not preach it, but just to share our story. Like just have people just follow our journey. Yeah. Because I follow these other people and their journey is fucking already there. They've been there, they're there, and they've been through the shit just like us, just like Polynesian people. They've been there. And I'm just like, fuck, they're there, then we can do it. So, you know, my point is to like everybody listening is like, we can do it. We're living proof. We're in a fucking pandemic, babe. And we are like living proof where we have emergency funds, super emergency funds. And that's not even touching like our investments, but we're good for like up to a year.
Yeah.
In a financial independence community, fire community, they call it FU money. That means fuck you money. And emergency funds. But, you know, that's my whole point, you know, that, you know, our podcast is made to help out people. Yeah.
I was gonna say me and my mom we're in pretty good situation. Like, man, we got rid of the house like at a really good time.
Nice.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
Yeah, so we cashed out, man. We stay at these hood apartments. Like, I don't mind it. It's a little loud for my mom because there's hella kids everywhere. And it's so funny. It's like if man, I'll go weeks without seeing like white people. It's like, damn. But dude, our rent is so cheap.
It's affordable.
It is affordable.
Yeah.
Bro, our rent is so cheap. It's like, it's so affordable. And like, yeah, we could last here for like a year because our rent is so cheap. And so, you know what I mean? And like, I live with my mom. Yeah, like I have no
burden too, right?
No. So yeah, like I just like so crazy. This is how crazy it is. I'm so lucky. I just paid off my car in January.
Oh, awesome.
Like,
yay,
so
congratulations.
7 years. I got one of those long ass 7-year loans. Damn, that took forever.
72 months. Yeah.
But like little stuff like that, man, it like, oh man, I got so lucky because it's like I don't have to worry about that bill. Our rent is so cheap. It's like, you know what I mean? It's about, you know, you lose some freedoms when you live in an apartment. Like this, you know,
I know. Believe
people
me.
are loud, and you know, there's like
you hear your neighbor upstairs, your neighbor downstairs.
Well, they have a dog, so the dog runs around, and it's like hella loud. It's like, damn, it's like they're teaching the dog how to do aerobics and stuff. You know,
our neighbors, they bump Mexican music all day. Oh, yeah.
See, hey, I would rather have that.
Cucaracha all night. I swear, we crack up. We're like, oh, our neighbors are at it again.
But yeah, at the end of the day, man, it's like I'm not trying to impress anybody. You know what I mean? Like, there's like, I don't care where I live right now. You know, this is just this was kind of our plan just for this year, just to see, you know, how things are without my dad, because my dad, he was, you know, him being a Faifao and his getting his retirement and stuff, like a lot of that stuff got cut off. You know, we don't get alofa anymore and stuff like that, stuff that we're used to getting. And so it's just like, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, we'll be okay just because our expenses are so low now. Like, just not having a lot of bills is basically, for me, my only bill is my phone bill. That's it.
Oh,
nice.
Like,
bro.
Yeah.
I can't wait to say that.
That's what we preach about on our podcast is, you know, fuck the bullshit. Don't stop keeping up with the Kardashians or, you know, keeping up with the Joneses. It doesn't matter. All that shit does not matter. All that matters is you, your life, what makes you guys comfortable, the ease of, you know, finances in your life.
And less
stress.
Know?
And I love it that just a phone bill. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what's
up.
up.
I get it. Especially for Polynesians, like, and you know, if you're in your 20s, I was there, man. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. I loved living in my own apartment and being an adult and like having parties and like.
You already know, man.
But there's also times like right now where it was like, you know, it might be a good time to move home, not only for yourself to help yourself, but then you can also help your family or your other family or something like that. Or like, you know, it might be a better situation for your kids, or, you know, you just don't know. But there's no shame in like moving in with family. That's what we do. That's like, so that's how I look at it. I just, like you said, it's don't ever care about keeping up with whoever or trying to like.
Why do people try to impress their friends, their neighbors by like, oh, John and Susie got a brand new SUV. Honey,
cars,
the newest, latest SUV. What the fuck? You know, but, you know, that's what we talk about here.
Humans are competitive over stupid things sometimes, you know.
Tell you, man.
Totally
it's stupid thing. The stuff that doesn't really matter, you know. It's like, I think they said, I think the saying's like, man, you win stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know what I mean? It's
there you go.
like, oh, oh, you have 10 more followers on Instagram now. Like, oh, good job. It's
Yeah,
like,
right? You get a cookie.
But it's like, never care about what anybody else thinks. Live your life, and if it's like, everybody goes through seasons, so it's, it's not, I think for me, I always tried so hard to keep up with my like social media. Like my social media used to crack. And then now it's like, I feel so good. I feel so good that I don't worry about it anymore. It's like I don't post on that. It's like I'm just concentrating on my podcast, social media right now, and it's like one less stress for me. That's how I looked at it. So that's
what's up.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we totally get it.
I used to care. I used to care way too much about what people thought of me, but then. That's when I finally got full freedom, was like, you got to like really think for yourself, and you really can't worry about what the world says about it. In fact, I remember when I was leaving my job, one of my clients, I was talking to them and they were like, oh, so what's your plan? I was like, oh, I'm going to move to Vegas. I'm going to just move in with my parents and probably drive Uber and Lyft. And then like one of my clients laughed at me. And I was like, damn, yeah. This old Palangi lady and stuff. And it's just like, hey, I get it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's different. Like a lot of people don't have maybe the same relationship with their parents. It's like us Polynesians are very,
we're very calm.
Yes.
Let me dive in on that about other different, people not having relationships like Polynesian people. All these people, the elderly that died, they were in the old people homes.
They were in a nursing.
We don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? And when I heard about, the statistics about the nursing homes and the people dying, we had a podcast where we literally talked about, we Polynesians don't do that. Our parents die with us to the day. Like either it's your brother, yourself, or your sister. They're staying within the family.
Yeah.
And,
they're going to pass away within the confines of family.
All these old folk homes, the people that died,
in their
the elderly,
bed, in their home,
they died with nobody. Like they just, that's
what I'm saying. That's sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
I could never.
I just wanted to touch on that.
Way to end the podcast on a hella depressing note, man. Yeah.
Right, yo. I'm like, I would never put my mom in a nursing home.
No, it's depressing.
Never a plan. That's never. Yep.
Not for Polynesian.
Because it's not something I think of. Like I'm not like I like when I'm thinking like my mom needs care and I can't be at home to take care of her. I just don't think like I'm gonna put her in a nursing home. Hell no. I'm gonna be like, oh, I gotta quit my job and stay my ass home and watch my mama.
Yeah. So with that being said, to end on a good note.
Sorry, Heinz. That's not my hands.
It's not the Polynesians that are, that are losing their parents in a nursing home.
On a positive note, the nursing home that got hit with all those seniors that passed away in Kirkland. There was like 35 plus deaths in that life care center. Well, a 90-year-old grandma that got hit with coronavirus at that same center is recovering.
Oh, that's good.
So that is a good
sign.
And she's 90.
So we're going to end it.
On a good note.
A 90-year-old woman survived the coronavirus.
Yes.
This was a great podcast. Thank you, Heinz. Once again, for
thanks for being
for watching me eat all my snacks.
I know, right? It's okay. I think I've consumed more than half of my jug.
Yeah, this is just this is a quarantine.
I almost finished this. That's almost
right. I would love that.
I'm gone out here, and to all you watchers and listeners, I hope you had a good one.
It was a good quarantine and chill.
Drink cast. This was a drink cast.
This was definitely a drink cast. Fun drink cast because we can't be together to party.
Yeah,
exactly.
So we're partying on Zoom.
I had a great time, brother. And we'll do it more again. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. As always, I feel very honored, and hopefully I brought some good info and some good thoughts and stuff, and you guys just didn't just watch me eat, like I said. So thank you.
Nah, we're good. And you got your Seahawks gear, repping. So
this whole thing.
Malo Heinz.
Malo. All right, guys.
This on all our minds. Before we go, thank you, brother. And once again, to all the people out there. Oh, before we go, we got to do a health tip. So my health tip, of
I'll
course,
leave that to you too.
Is right here. This is my health tip once again. Keto Island boys, Polynesian people, Pacific Islanders, Melanesians, everybody, Micronesians. Go and visit the Keto Island Boys podcast, man. There's a lot of information to help everybody out with their health. Mm-hmm. That's the health tip of the day. Go ahead and read this, baby. So don't forget. She's gonna, we always do this because it helps out.
I love it.
So don't forget to please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple iTunes.
We did it.
Go to our YouTube.
We did it earlier.
Page, subscribe, and leave a comment. Mm-hmm. Or leave a voice message on anchor.fm. Yep. So we are available on 9 podcast platforms, which are Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Stitcher, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Breaker. So thank you again, guys, for listening. I'm hoping to see you guys on the next one. Heinz, thank you for being our special guest.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you taking the time.
I appreciate, man. I feel, like I said, I feel very honored, and this just feels like I'm having a regular conversation. I feel like there's no way this is going to be on YouTube. And then when I see it on YouTube, I'm gonna be like, oh man, that just feels so, just gonna feel weird. So
it's hey.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
technology is weird, guys. I'm sorry, I'm still not used to this technology.
Don't worry. I'm.
Hey, I love it.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what our podcast is, the Growing Style podcast. It's
Thank
raw.
Thank you for
it's
me.
It's organic. It's whatever.
Because I can put a face to the voice.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I haven't been able to. So now you have a face to a voice, and I have one too. So now I can know who you are when I see you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to use this a little bit more with with the
play with it. Definitely.
Yeah.
With that being said, we'll look in the camera and we're gonna
take a picture.
We're gonna say bye, everybody. To everybody, thank you for listening. Hopefully, you guys can learn a lot. And with that being said, with me, Tala, and Heinz, so far, so far. Bye, guys.
Bye.